All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, call Loyam Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Racha HaKodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders, great millstone who rule well, and salutations to you, brothers that push this word in truth and in sincerity. Coming back with another lesson. In this lesson, I want to touch upon this article a brother sent out on uh, a chat. It links up with a pretty much an identical article I read last night, and it's dealing with World War III and Russia's situation over there in Ukraine. All right, so first off, let me read this here in Revelation 8, in verse. Let me see. Yeah, actually, Revelation 11 and verse 14. It says, "The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly." All right. So this is referring to the world wars. So World War II is past, and it says, "Behold, the third world war cometh quickly." Now, World War II was some time ago, um, but in comparison to uh, World War III being pretty much a common thing that's talked about in alternative media, it hasn't been that long. All right, it hasn't been long, at all. Uh, so this article, as it says, Putin could have justification he needs for nuclear strike in few days. All right. It says the upcoming referendums being held by Russian-backed separatists in Ukraine may give Russian President Vladimir Putin what he needs to justify a nuclear strike. This week, Russia state-run news agency TASS, reported that separatists in 4 territories of Donbass region will hold referendums on joining Russia from September 23 to 27th. Such votes had previously been prohibited by law from taking place. Putin could use the referendums to find reasons for an attack that are in line with the conditions Moscow has set for the use of nuclear weapons. So with the these regions wanting to join Russia, if they're successful with that, that means that any attack on those regions from Ukraine means that it's an attack on Russia as a whole, and with that, Russia will be able to use nuclear strikes, on or in that region, against Ukraine or any proxy armies or so on and so forth. Now, in this video here done by W7, and actually this guy here from Canadian Prepper, he was going into it, and I watched this video last night. He was going into it about how they're going to Russia would use low yield nuclear, tactical nuclear weapons, meaning these weapons that they would use in Ukraine or those regions of Ukraine that would be annexed to Russia would generate, uh, the blowback wouldn't be as bad as a like full on nuclear weapon. It's a nuclear weapon, but it has a like minimal damage, so to say. All right. So here, as it says here too, it says there's no going back. Russian nukes could be used to defend annexed Ukrainian regions, Kremlin warns. Okay. And this is Dmitry Medvedev, which is the deputy chairman of Russian Security Council. Okay, and he actually was the president that was in place before Putin got into power. Okay, continuing on, it says John Erath, the senior policy director at the Center of Arms Control and Nonproliferation, told Newsweek that the referendums from the so-called Luhansk People's Republic and Donetsk People's Republic could hand Putin the legal pretense to consider those separatist backed territories as part of Russia. Although the Russian army doesn't have full control over these territories, the Kremlin is likely will likely use the votes to formally annex Luhansk, Donetsk, uh, uh, Zaporizhia, whatever, however you pronounce that, and Kherson. In this case, uh, in the case that those occupied territories are formally admitted to the Russian Federation, any effort from Ukraine to take back those territories will likely be seen as a direct attack on Russia. Irath noted that Putin has already drawn a very clear line that if Ukraine puts one foot into Russia, which would include those occupied territories, pending the upcoming votes, Putin will have legal grounds to use nuclear weapons. So that's a smart move on this guy's end, on Putin's end, a chess move to annex those countries and then say that if you know uh, if any Ukrainian or whatever proxy armies are there, that's considered an invasion and use nuclear weapons, man. Okay, so we can see how the Lord's movie is playing out, and the prophets of the Lord have spoken of these things and prophesied these things to come, for years. All right, and as the scripture saying, Habakkuk is speaking. All right, the vision is speaking. All right, it says on Thursday, former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, who now serves as the council deputy head of Russia's Security Council, signaled that it would be likely for Moscow to use the referendum as justification for an attack. The Donbass republics and other territories will be accepted into Russia, Medvedev said, according to Reuters. He added that the protection of all territories would be defended by Moscow's arsenal, which includes strategic nuclear weapons. All right, and there's more to this, but for the second time, I'm gonna leave it there with that. Now let's jump here to Ezekiel 38. All right, and this is a prophecy in which we're seeing, Russia do. Okay, the Lord. Well, I don't want to jump the gun, but here in Ezekiel 38 and 1, it says, "And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against it." All right. So the land of Gog and Magog is referring to the Russians. When you look at an ancient map and you look at the regions of Gog and Magog, the people who inhabit that land today are the Russians. Okay. So this is what the Lord is saying about the Russians. Verse 3, and say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. So the Lord is against the Russians. We talk bad about America, Babylon the Great, when we do, a lot of our videos, brothers, we're here in Babylon, and, we condemn this place and so on and so forth. But we got to, make it known that the Russians, are Edomites as well, which, we people know that. And the Lord is against them also. Okay, but He's just going to use them. He's going to use one devil to take out another devil. Okay, verse 3. So like it. Verse 4. It says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, or horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. So the Lord's gonna have, those Russians pretty much amass a great army. A very very large army to fulfill his purpose, and he's also going to turn him back to the old former Soviet Union ways. That powerhouse. Uh, that Russia used to be. The Lord is going to turn them right back to that, which is why you have them annexing certain portions of land that used to belong to them. Okay, that's the Lord putting those hooks in his jaws and turning him back to be that powerhouse of authority that they once were. All right, and with that, he's gonna have allies that they're gonna protect. Go to bat for, so on and so forth. Okay, verse 5, it says Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya, with them, all of them with shield and helmet, because a lot of these countries that side with Russia use Russian weapons, Russian weapon systems, AKs, so on and so forth. Okay, it says Gomer and all his bands, the house of uh, the house of Togomar and the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. Okay, so um, Gomer is Turkey. When you look at it on an ancient map, the region of Gomer is Turkey. Togomar is the region of Armenia and Georgia and Azerbaijan. When you look at you know, the ancient maps, all right. Um, and Persia is the Iranians, which they didn't become known as Iranians until 1935. All right. Uh, Dedan is southern Arabia, and Sheba is southern Arabia as well. Okay, those regions. It says, "Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them." All right. So just how Russia was a guard unto Syria back a couple years ago, around what 2014, 2015, 2014, somewhere around there, when you had America using its proxy armies to get up into Syria and cause havoc. You had Russia that was deployed to Syria and pretty much held them down. All right, and got ISIS up out of there supposedly. Supposedly ISIS, it was ISIS. Which we know that was all America's proxy army. But Russia cleaned up shop quick, fast, and in a hurry. All right. So when World War III really break out, when these thermonuclear missiles is being used, you know, things is gonna get real hectic and real crazy. Okay. Um, it says, "And after many days thou shalt be visited, and in the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have always been laid, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely in them." Okay, so you're gonna have them Russians. They're gonna target the Holy Land as well. Okay, the Holy Land is gonna get hit with fire as well. All right, they're not exempt um from receiving a judgment themselves. All right, it says thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands and many people with thee. It says, "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought." All right, and this is the Lord that's going to put these thoughts into their minds. Okay, it says, "And thou shalt say," so like, hold on, so like, I had to take care of something real quick, but yeah, the Lord is the one who's gonna put that evil thought into those into Putin's mind or whoever's in power. Uh, you know what I'm saying? Just like the scriptures talk about how the angel had to work on one of those king's minds in the Old Testament. I forget exactly who it was, but letting you know that these presidents and individuals in power don't think for themselves. They're getting orchestrated by by Yahweh Shem Shai, using the angels to have them make certain decisions. All right. It says, "And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them, dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates." That's talking about so-called America. Okay. These people are they think they're safe. There's no borders uh, in America, no actual walls, you know, and these people are at rest, completely docile, and with the advent of the internet, it doesn't make anything even, nothing better as far as these people's docileness. Okay. It says, verse 12, "To take a spoil and to take a prey and to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited," because at one time this place wasn't inhabited, but it is now, "and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations." All right, America is a melting pot, a conglomerate of different nations, "which have gotten cattle and goods, that dwell in the midst of the land, Sheba and Dedan, and the merchants of Tarshish, with them all, with all the young lions thereof, shall say unto thee, Art thou come to take a spoil? Hast thou gathered thy company to take a prey, to carry away silver and gold, to take away cattle and goods, to take a great spoil?" All right. "Therefore, son of man, prophesy and say unto God, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, In that day when my people of Israel dwelleth safely, shalt thou not know it." All right, because in the kingdom we're gonna be we're gonna dwell safely, but first war has to come. All right. "And thou shalt come from thy place out of the north parts, thou and many people with thee, all of them riding upon horses, a great company and a mighty army. And thou shalt come up against my people of Israel as a cloud to cover the land. It shall be in the latter days, and I will bring thee against my land, that the heathen may know me when I shall be sanctified in thee, O Gog, before their eyes." So even the land of Israel is going to be touched, like I said, um, because that land has to be purified and cleansed, because you got the heathen that's over there in the land of Israel polluting it. Okay, so before we dwell safely in the land of Israel, being the true people of the Heavenly Father, um, it has to be purified from the evil and the filth that's currently in there. Okay, verse 17, it says, "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Art thou he of whom I have spoken in old times by my servants the prophets of Israel, which prophesied in those days many years, that I would bring thee against them?" Um, and there's more to this, but for the sake of time, I'm gonna leave it there. The land of Israel is gonna be hit with fire, and America is gonna be hit with fire. Okay. So with me saying that, let me grab this. Okay, because in this video here, Um, this dude, the Canadian prepper, goes into how you got a lot of European countries. Can't remember if he said a lot of European countries, but over in Europe, they're they're buying up potassium iodine. Okay, which potassium iodine is non-radioactive iodine, which pretty much protects your um thyroid. Okay, because your thyroid regulates your metabolism. Okay, and also your well, it's a lot to it, but um your thyroid is very important in your body. All right, so why are they buying up all this potassium iodine? All right, it's because of nuclear war. All right, so nuclear radioactive particles as a result of nuclear war. All right, when a nuclear war is shot off, when a nuclear bomb is shot off, and it explodes or whatever, detonates, that nuclear fallout or that blast or whatever, it releases those nuclear, those radiated particles, which um, can destroy your body and cause cancer when you breathe it in internally. When it gets into your your blood or whatever, it can destroy your body and cause cancer. But outwardly, when it touches the skin, you can wash it off with a warm soap and water. All right, but they're buying up all that potassium because they know that nuclear war is coming. All right, so this is Revelation 8, and let me see, 8 and 10. It says, "And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters." All right, and this is referring to nuclear war, a nuclear warhead. It says, "And the name of the star is called Wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter." All right, and that's that radiation. All right, wormwood. Um, I got it on airplane mode. Let's see. Um, that wormwood, it represents radiation. That nuclear contamination. All right, so this wormwood, right?
Strong's G894. Obscentheon. Obscentheon.
Okay. Bitterness. Here we go. As a type of bitterness. All right, calamity, wormwood. So that wormwood is like literally bitterness. Okay. Because that's what's coming. Is straight bitterness. All right, it's gonna be a bitter thing to not be able to even to drink water, man. You drink water and it's literally tastes bitter. It's contaminated. It causes cancer and it kills you. That's what's coming, man. All right, so that's why you got those potassium iodine capsules and whatnot, pills being bought in bulk. It's even hard to get some, according to what the Canadian prepper has said over in certain places. All right. So, these countries know that thermonuclear war is coming. So this is from the World Health Organization. And it says, use of potassium iodine for thyroid protection during nuclear and radiological emergencies. It says, during a nuclear accident, Radioactive iodine may be released to the environment in a plume or cloud and subsequently contaminate soil, surfaces, food, and water. All right. It may settle on an individual's skin and clothing, resulting in external exposure to radiation. Radioactive iodine deposits on skin can be removed by washing with warm water and soap. If radioactive iodine is inhaled, example given from a radioactive cloud, or ingested, an example given through so like a contaminated food, milk, or water, it results in internal exposure to radiation. When radioactive iodine enters the body, it accumulates in the thyroid gland. In the same way, non-radioactive stable iodine would due to natural biokinetic pathway of iodine in the human body. So the same way, um, good iodine is enters into the body or accumulates into the body via the thyroid. Same thing with radioactive. All right. It says, what are the health risks of exposure to radioactive iodine? It says iodine is a necessary element of the human diet and is used by the thyroid gland to produce hormones that regulate the body's metabolism. During a nuclear accident, the thyroid gland is at particular risk as it does not differentiate between stable and radioactive iodine. Uptake of radioactive iodine may increase the risk of thyroid cancer, particularly in children. The younger the age at exposure, the higher the risk of developing thyroid cancer later in life. In children of Chernobyl exposed to radioactive iodine with contaminated milk and food, the increase in the incidence of thyroid cancer was first detected 4 to 5 years after the time of exposure in 1986. Um, and there's more uh, little things you can read. Um, I'll read this last one in here in the notes. It says potassium iodine is an inorganic salt where potassium K and iodine I are combined in a 1-to-1 ratio to form potassium iodine. Therefore, its chemical formula is Ki. Another compound. Ooh, you know what? I think there's a famous YouTuber named Ki or some shit like that be doing boxing matches and shit. But I could be wrong. But that's crazy though. Uh, it says therefore its chemical formula is Ki. Another compound the national health authorities may decide to use a potassium iodate KiO3, and in the case of appropriate dosage will be indicated. A nuclear accident may result in a release of a mixture of many radionuclides known as nuclear fission products. The exact composition of the release will depend on the type of the reactor and the materials involved in the release, but main radionuclides representing health risks are radioactive isotopes of uh, cesium and radioactive iodine. Ki is usually presented in scored tablets, which facilitates fractionation for pediatric dosage. So like that was a tongue twister for me. All right, so that pretty much concludes the lesson. But as you can see, man, you got Nuclear war. Nuclear war. They're talking about nuclear war. You know, this it's exciting, man. Exciting. All right. So they're not talking about using these nukes for no reason, man. Prophecy says that they're going to use these nukes. All right. And just how it said Chernobyl in 1986 that contaminated milk and the land and water and whatnot that was giving them kids cancer. Well, that's in the scriptures, man. All right, World War III, that's gonna happen. All right, so brothers ain't crazy, man. We through the Spirit of the Lord, we prophesying what's to come. All right, and that's gonna be good for all the the heathen and the non-believers out there, man. Because America is done. This place is gonna be wiped off the planet. All right, but there's gonna be other regions in the earth that's gonna be contaminated with nuclear radiation, and it's gonna be bad for these people out here, man. So call along Yahabashim Yashabashim Rachahakudash. Lord willing, this has been edifying. Till next time, Shalom.